Hello, all. Let me see if I can. Uh-oh. Oh, boy. Trying to get this lighting right. Anyway, hello. Make sure you sign in, and my light is too bright, I think. Oh, my. Unless it's my eyeballs, I can't tell. And I'm washing out because I got my hair like my hair is right now. And make sure you sign in so I'll know who it is and I can say hello to whoever you are. And anyhow, welcome. Y'all hold on just for a second. Christopher, can you come and adjust my light down just a bit, please?
Turn it down or tilt it forward?
No, turn it down, please. It's actually, I know I had filters where, okay, that's good. But I know I had filters where I was using to damp it down a bit. Anyway, hello, how are you? Hi. I hope you guys are doing okay. Um, well, there's a lot going on. Hey, JB, how are you? Nashville in the house. Good to see you guys. I'm so glad you was able to make it. Listen, first order of business, check your settings. Make sure YouTube has not unsubscribed you because they are doing that to a lot of people. They're just going in and unsubscribing people. And the other thing is make sure you click the notification bell and then you click where it says all. And hopefully, if they had unsubscribed you, then you'll start getting the notifications. It's crazy. So I start texting you guys. Those of you that left me your phone number in my private email, I got you in my contacts, and I try to text you when I'm coming on. You got the notice. Okay, good. Yeah, you just never know, right? You just never know. Anyway, so I wanted to make sure that you all were able to get on if you could, and of course you can watch the replay if you can't join us tonight. And make sure you click the thumbs up. That'll be good. So you should have seen what I'm going to be talking about tonight. Now, look, y'all, don't get mad at me, okay? I mean, if you get mad at me, I don't care, but don't get mad at me. Hi, Carolyn. You don't see a place to subscribe, really? Um, Well, that's weird. I don't know why. Uh, it should be right there on the channel on the right hand side. There should be a subscribe button, or underneath the video picture, there should be a subscribe button. That's the first time I ever heard that. Somebody said they didn't see a place to subscribe. That's kind of weird. Anyway, now, like I said, y'all don't get mad at me. And no, I did not cut my hair. I know it looks all shrunken. I'm gonna show you. I didn't cut it. It's down here. I just never wear it out. See that? I did not cut my hair. All right. Anyway, so I've been watching what's been happening concerning the shutdown. Now, you know, everybody's going to blame somebody else, right? Here's the thing. When you go to the negotiating table with anyone about anything, the whole principle of negotiating is to give a little and get a little. That's what negotiation is. It doesn't necessarily mean you get everything you want, and it doesn't mean that the other person gets everything they want. You're trying to reach a happy medium, meaning that everybody's probably not going to be happy about something, but everybody will be okay with something, right? If you walk away from a negotiating table not having anything you wanted, but you caved, Okay, that was not a negotiation. That was an overthrow. Okay, that was an overthrow. That was tyranny. That's what that was. So, what's happening right now is there were things that were set in motion in the last two administrations that have done our country a lot of harm. What the current administration is trying to do, I'm not saying they're doing everything right. I'm saying what they're trying to do is put you first. That's what they're trying to do. There has been so much damage done that in order to set things right, some things have to be eliminated that were not there before. Okay. The things that have hurt the country, the things that have made you last in this country, um, but have benefited the masses that are not people who were born here. These are the things that the current administration is trying to undo so that um, the bulk of benefit can go to those who were actually born here. Now, let me say something about this. Our country has taken in a lot of people over the decades, a lot of people. Um, but there's a process, and I explained all of this to you guys before. My husband is an immigrant. He went through a process. I was an immigrant to Canada when him and I first got married. I had to go through a process. I did not jump over the fence. I didn't cut my way through. Um, I wasn't trafficked. I paid the money. I took the medical exams. I did everything they asked me to do. And they gave me entrance. And not only did they give me entrance as a um, permanent resident, but they approached me twice about becoming a citizen. Do you know why? Because when I came in, I was able to prove that I was not going to be a burden to their taxpayers. We had a business, right? We were self sustaining. So they knew that my husband, being my sponsor and being a business owner, that the bulk of my welfare was going to rest on him and not the taxpayers of Canada. Well, that has since changed up there. um, and that's the way our country is here. Now, the immigration process here can vary a little bit from country to country. It depends on whether you're coming from a hostile nation um, or a friendly nation, an allied nation, right? So the requirements to come in could be different. You may have to prove different things that I may not have had to prove. Um, and it will cost different amounts depending on the paperwork. And a lot of it has to do with your own respective government, how much they cooperate, how much information you can get from them to give to the gaining nation. It was not an easy process when I was applying for my permanent residency in Canada, of which I was a permanent resident for nearly 10 years. It was not an easy process. It was very intrusive. It was easier than a lot of people because I did meet people there that had been in process for over 5 and 6 years and still had not received an okay. In my case, it took, I'm not kidding, 10 months. 10 months. You know why? Because I wasn't a threat, because I was coming from an allied nation, and because I met all of their requirements. Whether I liked it or not, they had a door that I had to come through if I was going to be in that country longer than 6 months as a visitor. And I had to do what they were asking me to do. I didn't like it, but I still had to do it. And so I did. So I said all that to say that there is a process in place in our country. There always has been. It just varies from country to country. The problem, the issue that we run into is when people are fleeing their country, and some are lying, some are not. But when they are fleeing their country, there is a process for someone whose life is in danger to come into the country. There is a separate process for that. And if they meet the qualifications based on the history of the country, based on the leadership of the country that they're coming from, and all that, there's a process. They may or may not be approved to come into this country. But if their life is sincerely in danger, for example, if you are coming from um, a Middle Eastern nation where it's an honor culture, meaning if you don't hold to the very strict traditions of that nation and you come over here, or you're on the internet or whatever, and you get what they would call westernized, you could very well, you know, cease to be. And that is part of their culture and part of their religion and part of their political structure. If a person decides that they don't want to hold to that, that they don't want to be under what they feel is a whip of oppression, and their life is truly in danger, there is a pathway for them here. Okay. But you have to come through the door. Now, the problem that we've had in the last 15 years or so, but never like the last 4 or 5 years, there was no requirements that had to be met. It was called open borders, right? There was no requirement that had to be met. So I want to scale this down for you because I want you to understand the seriousness of it. A lot of times when we are living in our own pocket, right, our own pocket of life, then we may not see the repercussions of other stuff that's going on around us, right? Because we can get narrow visioned and tunnel vision and all this, and we can be so busy trying to exist or whatever that we become oblivious to everything that's going on around us, whether it's economically or whatever. And economically, I think everybody's paying attention on some level, because every time you go to the store, you get smacked in the jaw with the prices. Yeah, should have been prepping. But anyway, um, so I'm saying all this to say sometimes we can get narrow minded in regard to what's going on and why it's happening. So now, over the last several years, there has been this alternate vision for the world. It's not new, okay? The first time I heard of it was way back when George Herbert W. Bush was president. That was a long time ago. He was the first person that I ever heard say anything about the New World Order. Okay. This is not a conspiracy theory, folks. Okay. This is what was happening. Um, you have people who have not been elected by the people that are running Europe, these bloodline families that have been in existence for a long time, have a different vision for our world than what the average person does. And in order for them to fulfill their dream, there's a couple things that have to happen. Number one, they feel like there's too many of us. Okay. There's too many of us and we got too much stuff that they want. So the first thing is draw up a plan on how to eliminate some of these people, because there's too many of them. We need the land, we need their assets. It's too many of them. So there's been all kinds of measures taken over the years to eliminate people through experimental drugs, through experimental diseases, gain of function, all kinds of stuff, right? Put them on the front line in a war that shouldn't happen, all kinds of stuff to reduce the population. Boy, I'm just waiting for this video to get snatched off here. But anyway, So when we're not paying attention to all this, then it looks like a big puzzle where the pieces are all scattered and nothing makes sense. I mean, it can leave you just scratching your head. But if you have had the courage to do a little research and not get all of your information from the mainstream media, who is lying through their teeth about everything, um, you'll start to put pieces together. Uh, oh dear. I don't know. Are you guys getting hit with? I don't know why they hitting y'all with commercials, but anyway, I can't help that, y'all. I don't know what's going on with that. But so anyway, I said all that to say, over the last several years, right, there has been a movement afoot to reorganize um, the world, not just our society, but the entire world. Okay, the whole world, because these people feel like they own the entire planet. Not kidding. So just picture this. Um, you have nations that are not friends of ours who, as a part of their agenda to take down one of the most powerful nations in the world, is to infiltrate it and destroy it from inside. Now, how does that happen? Well, it happens by convincing someone to open their borders. And once that has happened, then you just empty your prisons and your mental institutions and you just let them all go to that place. That's how you kill a nation. Okay. That's how you kill a nation. That's how you do away with the citizens and you infiltrate it with people that will drain the system and destroy the fabric of the nation from the inside out. That's how you do it. So go back to the fact that I just said that there is a different vision that has been in the works for decades, that this country should not exist. No country should exist. It's supposed to be one big happy family. You know, you will own nothing and be happy. Remember that? Yeah, tell that to the people who don't own anything right now because they've lost everything, because they've lost their jobs, because they've lost their income, because they've lost their insurance, they've lost. Ask them if they're happy. Okay. Anyway, so why is the government shut down? It is shut down because some of the demands that were brought to the table from the people who do not share your vision, my vision as a patriot, think that we're wrong. They think that uh, we're too stupid to know what we want. And we can't manage our own lives. I remember hearing Barack Obama say that. You know, we were the average person was too dumb to handle their own life. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the gist of it. I was stunned. But anyhow, because I was thinking, well, I never met you face to face and you never gave me a dime and I seem to be doing just fine. So there you go. But anyway, yes. What is your question, Amber? Listen, guys, if you got a question or something, make sure you put it in the chat because I will be checking that. So what's happening right now, the reason that we are shut down is because the current administration wants to put you first. They feel like, and rightly so, that their first responsibility is to the citizens of this country. Whether you are a naturalized citizen, whether you were born here, if you are a citizen of this nation, then you are their first priority. It does not mean that no one else matters. It means that they have to come through the door. They have to come through the process, right? What has happened is that You have people that are in the Senate and in Congress who do not have that vision. They are communist. That's their ideology. Some of them are Marxists. There ain't a whole lot of difference. That's their ideology, but it's not congruent. It does not match. It will not work with nationalism. It just does not work. The visions are diametrically opposed to one another. Now, Amber asked the question. She says, should we start having classes on how to vote, or maybe simply looking up on a particular candidate when it comes to voting so we don't bubble in for the wrong, oh, I see what you mean, for the wrong person, whether it be local voting or, I understand what you're saying. And yes, it does not hurt to do that. And if you look, depending on what state you're in and how red it is, you you should be able to get with your local well, it depends on what party you're in as well, right? I know that in the party that I am elected in, there are classes and things like that that go on all the time, training all the time, all over our state, and it's very helpful for people that don't know what to do. Now, let me tell you this: nobody has a right to tell you who to vote for, but they can teach you how to look up a person's history. You know, a candidate. It gets tricky when you're dealing with someone who has never been in the political arena, so they don't have a political track record to look at, right? We have an organization here called Oklahoma Second Amendment Association. And they, just before every election, what they do is they send out what they call a scorecard. This is not telling people how to vote or anything like that. What it does is it sends a document to each candidate asking them very specific questions that are pertinent to the voter, right? Most voters in each party share the vision or the core vision of that party. Doesn't matter which party it is, right? I mean, if you don't, you need to be relooking at why you're there in the first place. If they don't pass muster, in other words, there are things that are the core value of the party that I'm elected in. If a candidate gets that scorecard, if they answer honestly, because there's always the chance that they'll say what they think you want to hear just so that they can get elected, right? Because Lord knows we've seen that. There is a chance that they could lie. There is a chance that they could be dishonest about it. But if they answer it, right, and they have a legislative history, you can be taught how to look into their history and see how often have they voted against your constitutional rights. This is what we look for here. We look at who's funding them. Are they in Big Pharma's pocket? Is Big Pharma dumping donations on them? Because if they're taking money from big corporations and things or lobbyists that are just bent on destroying the country, yeah, that's probably not the person you want to vote for. I don't care what party it is, okay? You probably don't want that person making decisions for you up on the hill. I'm just saying. So yes, there are things that you can do. Yes, stolen elections is another issue. This is why some time ago, back in 2016, there was this big old push about stop the steal. There were things that happened in plain view that were not prosecuted. Why? Because the powers that be that wanted the country turned inside out were the ones that were occupying the White House at the time. They were the ones that were working behind the scenes with other nations that are not happy with us to take down this country. So back to the shutdown. So now all of this stuff happened. Probably, I'd say 90% of it has been proven to be true. Um, what President Trump was saying at the time, back then. They spied on my campaign. They illegally raided my home. All these kinds of things that none of them want to be held accountable for. But if someone else had done it that wasn't batting for their team, they'd have threw them under the jail. They'd never see the light of day again. This is the kind of nasty politics we're dealing with. So it's going to take time to turn things around. But in order to turn things around, some things have to go. I mean, it was a nail in the coffin, so to speak, to allow the borders to stay open. The problems that we are having now, on the scale that we are having them now, where you have to have ICE agents and FBI agents and all this go into a city to restore order because the mayor and the governor will not do it. Now, I ask you, I don't know where all y'all live, but I just want to ask you this. If you live in a city or a state where your governor says everyone is welcomed here, it doesn't matter whether you're a criminal, whether you're, you like to just have your way with women against their consent, or children, with or without consent, doesn't matter whether they consent or not, they're children. If you're living in a state or a city where the mayor or the governor feels it is no big deal that someone comes and burns down your establishment, firebombs your house, it's okay. You just, no bail, no bond. We'll pick you up and take you down to the station, and then we'll let you out. Right? When you're living in a state where you can be arrested 27 times with no consequence, it's time to ask yourself who these people really are that are sitting in these offices, because they're not patriots and they're definitely not nationalists. So what are they? And who are they to you? So you have people that will go out, they will protest, and they'll be fine with all this stuff that's going on under the guise of, humanitarianism and mercy and kindness and love. It's really baffling to see people take that position on things while they're burning down your store, while they're burning down your house, while they're having their way with your children, or what. It's kind of, it's a little confusing to call that democracy, right? It's confusing and it's hypocritical to say that everybody has a right to be here. Everybody has a right to live in peace, and yet you're destroying society with your behavior. There's something wrong with that, okay? You ain't got to look far to see what's wrong with that. It's stupid, and it's hypocritical, and it's a lie, right? So what do? They want to capitalize on your false sense of mercy so that you will just get on your knees and do whatever they tell you to do, because you're supposed to be a merciful person and you're supposed to understand that these people just want a better life. Let me tell you something. I can guarantee you 17 years ago, if you can believe it, been that long, 17 years ago, when I went to Canada, if I had approached the border with a torch in my hand, a firebomb, whatever, in my hand, saying, let me in, and just blew my way into the country, and then went to, I don't know, a Border Patrol agent's house, broke in, sat down at their table, said, I have a right to be here. You better feed me. And by the way, I don't feel good, and you need to pay my medical expenses because I'm going to the hospital. And not only that, I need somewhere to sleep, and it's going to be in your bed. I mean, this is how crazy this whole thing is. And so, what has happened is the current administration has said, yeah, no. And the other side of the aisle has said, well, we don't want you to pay the soldiers. We don't want you to pay government workers. We don't want you to do nothing for the country until you give us everything we want for these permanent visitors. Okay. A lot of them have been removed. A lot of them have gone to prison. A lot of them have gone to alligator Alcatraz, whatever you call it. A lot of them have been sent back to their own countries. But the ones where the countries are very hostile toward us, where they would just send them back here anyway to continue their debauchery, yeah, we held on to those guys because we know that they would come back. At least if they're in our custody, they're not on the street pillaging and destroying our nation. So now I want to give you a challenge. If anybody on here is okay with the vision of the open borders, no laws, no rules, nothing, no consequence, I want to ask you, who have you opened your house to? Who's in your house? Listen, if you had kids, they had rules. They had a bedtime. Oh, right? They had to do homework. Oh, there were things that were expected of them. There are things that are expected of anyone who lives in your home. Even if it is, please flush the toilet when you get finished, or wash the dishes after the kitchen has been closed for the day, or whatever your rules are. That's your home. And the way you have established your home and the rules and the regulations that you have set for your home is your home. And if a person comes to visit or to stay with you for any period of time, you don't expect them to trash the place. You don't expect them to take a match to your sofa and say, I don't like this sofa, burn it up and throw it out. You don't expect a visitor to come into your home and you fix them a meal and they say, I don't eat that, and they just throw it out, right? But this is what's been happening. You know, people were flown into our country who hate our country. Don't forget the purpose. The purpose was not because they wanted a better life per se. That might have been somewhere in the mix because they were lied to about that. The purpose was to use them to cause chaos and to unravel the fabric of our nation so that the other vision could move forward, right? You're in the way. In case you didn't know that, you're the problem. You're in the way. So this is why people who wanted to be touring New York or Seattle, Washington, or Philadelphia, or any historical place that is governed by a globalist or someone with an open borders mindset, those cities have pretty much been destroyed. Why is it only happening where the communists are? You understand what I'm saying? Now, every place has crime, okay? But when you legislate crime, that makes you a criminal. I don't care if you're sitting in Congress. I don't care if you're sitting in the White House. I don't care if you're sitting in the Senate. You're a criminal, and that's treason. All right. Now that I said that. So, you don't have to like the guy that's in the White House, okay? You probably will never meet him, so it doesn't matter anyway. What does matter is, what are they trying to do for you? Right now, they are holding the line because The people and the nations that are trying to pull the strings behind the scenes is saying, we want what we want. We're not compromising. And we're going to blame you when it all falls apart. We're going to blame you that this person or that person doesn't have a job. We're going to blame you. We're going to burn the whole thing down, and we're going to blame you for the hardship that the American people are going through right now. Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You can blame them, but the fault ain't with them. Okay? The fault is with those who do not put their own citizens first and started this whole process in the first place by flying people in, busing them in, and all this kind of stuff, and never asked you, the taxpayer, if you wanted to pay for any of it. Okay? Okay. Did you vote for that? Right? See, it's one thing to say, oh, they just want a better life, then come through the door. There's a process for that. There's a process. No country has to let you in. That's why every country has borders. They don't have to let you in. They're not obligated to let you in. They don't have to. Just like you don't have to let somebody in your home. You don't have to. It doesn't matter what condition they're in. It doesn't matter what sad story they have. This story could be true. It could be a lie. It doesn't matter. You don't have to let them in your home. There are certain circumstances where you don't even have to let law enforcement in your home just because they come knocking. All right? There are certain circumstances you do not have to let them in. Now, that's why the shutdown, okay? Because the current administration is holding the line. They're saying, listen, we ran on America first. We ran on taking care of our people first. And they were absolutely taken advantage of. Their taxes were taken advantage of because you let all these people into the country, sucking up benefits that our own citizens don't even qualify for, while they're working their butts off. Now, I've been watching the citizens of our country talk about the hardships that they are going through right now. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying my soapbox. Y'all know how I am. Hang in there. It's gonna get better in a minute. Now I forgot what I was gonna say. I just happened to look here. Thank you, guys. First of all, thank you all for coming on tonight. Like I said before, for those of you that weren't with me when I first started tonight, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, because YouTube, I'm telling you, they are unsubscribing people. People go check and find out I never unsubscribed, but I'm not a follower on your channel anymore. Yeah, they did that. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click the thumbs up. And please, it really, really helps push the channel out to more people when you make a comment in the comment section after the video is over. Not in the chat section right now, but in the comment section below the video. If you make a comment, it lets the algorithm know that the channel is active, right? Anyway, okay, that's what I'm told anyway. Who knows? Anyway, so my point is this. Neither side is wanting to budge. Now, you have people that don't want to budge because they feel like their vision is the right vision. They feel like capitalism is a stain. They feel like, while they're wearing, shoes, clothes, and all that kind of stuff, while they went into Congress and into the Senate, with a few $1,000s, and they come out millionaires. Listen, folks. One of the best things that ever happened to this country was Doge. It was shocking, but it was needed. And the reason I say it's one of the best things is because there was so much fraud and waste and abuse of the taxpayers' dollars that we would never have found that out if that had not happened. If that agency had not been instituted by the current administration, we would never have found out all this stuff. There are organizations that I would never give a dime to, knowing what I know now. Never would do it because they were shell companies. They were fake. They were using it to launder money. They were using it to say they were sending humanitarian aid over to another country, and they would send a little bit over there, and the rest of it would just come back and stick to their fingers. And you didn't get none of it, and it was your money. Okay? It was your money. It was your money. And they didn't ask you. Okay? So while this is a very difficult, it's a very hard time for people going through right now who have been caught up in the middle of this mess because they were working for a government agency that they had no idea was illegitimate. They had no idea that it was a shell company. They had no idea that it was a laundering machine. And now it's no more. It's been shut down because through investigation, they found out that people were stealing, people were lying, people were selling state secrets through these different agencies, and they shut them down. Now, it is unfortunate for people who were doing their job, thinking that they were working for a legitimate company, and they were doing what was asked of them or what was expected of them at the time when they took the job. And they may have been on that job for 10 years or 15 years or whatever, just to find out that the job is no more because it was illegitimate. That's horrible. I mean, that is just, oh man, that's bad. But this is part of the cleanup. If we're going to save this nation, this is part of the cleanup. You have got to you got to take the trash out. You just got to take the trash out, folks, you know, or this nation will be no more. And I'm not even exaggerating about that. You see what is happening in Chicago, what had happened in Washington, in the nation's capital was being held hostage by Marxists and communists because they have been brainwashed into thinking that the place that they live just sucks so bad they need to burn it down. Here's the thing. I got a suggestion for people who feel like this is like the absolute worst place to live in the world. You need to call Ellen DeGeneres, find out where she living in Ireland or where she went to, Rosie O'Donnell, you know, all them ones. Find out where they live and see if you can move in with them. Because they moved to countries that they felt fit their ideology. That's what you need to do. If you listen, I left Canada. You know why? Because it don't fit my ideology. Now they are almost all the way communistic. I'm telling you. And it's like, okay, yeah. So we've been back here for a few years now. I ain't never, listen, I don't even want to fly over. Okay. I don't want to fly over. I don't want to breathe the air. I don't want to go there for nothing. I mean, nothing. I mean, zero, 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 nothing. That country has nothing for me. Now, do I want to go there and, you know, throw explosives? And no, I don't want to hurt the people there. I don't want to hurt their economy. Listen, like I said, they offered me citizenship twice. They even tried to sell it to me by telling me, oh, you don't know what you're missing. You can get this benefit. You can have that benefit. You can get this for free. You can get this. You can get that. And all I kept thinking about was, and I ain't selling my birthright for free stuff. You know, you listen, my freedom has already been bought. I'm a free person. I ain't giving up my freedom for a morsel of bread. Thank you very much. No, thank you. So I told them no twice. They stopped asking, and I ain't been back. I ain't been back in years. I have not been back. And I told my husband every time we went, it was harder and harder Harder every time we came back here, it was harder and harder for me to go back there. That place, I'm sorry. No, I can't. I can't do it. First of all, I'm American. If you cut me, I'm going to bleed red, white, and blue. Okay. I don't know how else to tell you that. I'm American. I'm a veteran. I love my country. It sucks right now, but that's right now. You know, um, my children are here. My grandchildren are here. My great grandchildren are here. And I don't want them to be enslaved to a system that they will never be able to get out of. They will never know what freedom is because I said nothing and I did nothing because I was in my comfortable bubble. I'm not going to be that person. I'm not taking that guilt to my grave. Ain't going to happen. So if my kids and my grandkids or my great grandkids decide they want to embrace Marxism, that's their stupidity. But they won't be doing it because I coaxed them on. They won't be doing it because I was telling them what a horrible country this is. This country has some problems, let me tell you. And these problems were here before any of us were here. Before we were born, this place had some issues in it that just sucked. Okay. And what has happened is there's been um, a war over authority. Who's going to run the country? Who's going to own the people? Who's going to tell them what to do? How can we grease our pockets on the way to our, dystopia or utopia or whatever? And you're caught in the middle, and it sucks. So the shutdown is hurting a lot of people. But like I said, if the second vision for this nation did not exist, we wouldn't be in a shutdown. And if you think that it's only happening on a national level, you're wrong. Let me tell you something. The devil has plants everywhere, in all shapes, all sizes, all colors in this nation. I have dealt with more crap since I've been an elected official. I'm telling you, I've seen some crazy stuff happen. I've seen some vicious attacks against me. I've seen people who say they love this country defend people who are lawbreakers. I mean, let that hit you. That's how far down in the gutter we have gone. That's how far down we've gone. Where people, and the scripture talks about it, where you will see where people call evil good and good evil. I'm telling you, I have not seen so many people defend people that are obvious lawbreakers and dissenters and divisive. Defend this stuff against those who call it out or those who say that's not right. I'm telling you, you'll know them by their fruit, okay? You'll know them by their fruit. So while the government shutdown is hurting people, it is hurting people, and I pray for my nation. I pray for the people of my nation. I pray for the people in other nations that are going through this stuff. It's terrible what is happening. Now there's another side to this. I don't talk to you about the issue with food stamps. I don't have a problem with people that need assistance. That's why the program is there. Now, I got some problems with the program too, I'll tell you that. But the Bible said, the poor you will have with you always. So there's always going to be someone who does not have what you have. There's always going to be someone who needs something that you've been blessed to have already, right? That doesn't mean you have to give up yours and give it to them. I'm just saying there's always going to be someone who needs something. That's just the nature of societies. I don't care what country you go to. There is no level economic playing field. There's always some that make more than others and some that make less than others and some that are better at things than others and all that. You're going to have that. But when you have a system in place that enslaves people by incentivizing them to be lazy and trifling. Now, there's something that needs to be burned down. Okay. There's something that needs to be revamped or done away with and something else put in its place. Now, I have watched in the last few days, I don't know how many videos, um, of people who feel like they're supposed to get what they're getting for the rest of their lives. I saw a couple of videos of mothers who have children. One lady had 7 children, another lady had 6 children. Both of them were getting something like 43, wait for it, $100 a month for food. $4,300 a month just for food. Just for food. If you work, that's your tax dollars paying for her children, okay? Um, Not only was she getting $4,300 a month for food, but she was also on Section 8 and she was paying something like $86 a month for the home she was living in. $86 a month for the home she was living in. All of her medical for all of those children, who she proudly said had different fathers who were not helping. All of their medicals paid for. Her medicals paid for. Her food is paid for. She's able to work. But her question is, why should I have to go out and work 15 hours a week just so that I can eat? Now, wait a minute. Everybody else has to go out and work so that they can eat. I mean, I don't understand. Listen, this is not a person who had a job. Their job closed down, burned down. I don't know, owner died, whatever happened. And they needed a hand up till they could find more work. No, 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 no. That's not her story. Her story is she doesn't work. She doesn't want to work. She's not going to go to work. And then they cut off her food stamps. Well, now she's having an epiphany. Now, and not only is she having an epiphany, she's having an absolute fit. Her thing is, who's going to pay for these children? Well, my question is, whose children are they? Do they belong to the state or do they belong to you? Anyway, they are absolutely taking advantage of a system that was never intended for them to be permanent. Now, let me say this now because that sounds like a contradiction. The problem that we have is that the system has incentivized them to not work because it offers so much, right, that they would never make it on a job that is in the service industry unless they were in management or ownership of that industry, right? You're not going to make that kind of money with all of your medical paid, all of your food paid, all of the time. And you can go anywhere you want to go and go on vacations and go on yachts and do all this kind of stuff at the taxpayer's expense, and you are able to work. That is trifling. You nasty, okay? And you need to go get a job. It's just that simple. Right. Amber says food stamps were originally created for temporary basis for a single male, and that was it. Okay. So, but what you have now is you have these people who feel entitled to your tax dollars or to the citizens' tax dollars. And what's really a bite in the behind is when they come from other countries never did a thing to help this country, burn our flag in public view, spit on our citizens, trash our five-star hotels, discard our food, and tell us they have a right to be here. Why should they work? Okay, this is why the government is shut down right now, because the current administration is saying we have got to take out the trash. We can't allow this to happen. This is not fair to our citizens. It's not fair to our seniors. It's not fair to our veterans. It's not fair to any of our people to allow these people to come in, disrespect our country, spit in your face, and tell you that they have a right to do that. Try going somewhere else and do that and see how quick you get locked up. This is the only country in the world that's that stupid to do stuff, to allow something like that to happen. So yeah, it's shut down because we need to take the trash out. We need to get rid of the waste, the fraud, and the abuse that's going on in our nation. Now, I'm not hating on people who need assistance. Like I said, there are people who need assistance. There are also people who have embraced the concept of generational poverty. All right? All they know is their mother, her mother, they were all on welfare, and that's all they know. They grew up in the system. So that's all they know. They grew up with a poverty mindset. You don't have to work. You don't have to finish school. You don't have to. Let me tell you something. There's a biblical principle. You don't work, you don't eat. Okay. So now the current administration is saying if you are able bodied, you need to try to get a job. If you cannot find a paying job, then you need to serve your community for 15 to 30 hours a week and earn your keep that way. Give something to the city or the state that you're living in who is taking care of you, who is keeping a roof over your head, who is feeding you every single day, who is taking care and picking up the tab for your medical expenses. Go volunteer somewhere, do some community service, do something to help the citizens that are taking care of you. Why? Because you owe them that. That's why. They don't owe you. You owe them. You're on the receiving end of their labor, right? Anyway. Well, how you like me now? So anyway, so things have to be set in order. And if you think we got it bad here, you need to go on YouTube or somewhere and look up the state of affairs in China. I'm telling you, we ain't never seen the likes of that here. It is bad over there. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's bad. It's bad. I feel so sorry for the people. They are so done. They are so done. They can't do anything. These kids, here you are with another culture, a different culture. In that culture, unlike here, unlike in the West, in that culture, they are taught, you grow up, you go to school, you get a good job, a good paying job, you go back home, you take care of your parents until the day they die. That's their culture. Our culture is grow up, get a job, get out, go start your life. We'll see you at the holidays or whatever. The West has a completely different, we have pockets of families who will just keep adding on to their property, as the kids come, the grandkids, they'll just keep adding on to the property till it's one big compound, right? We do have that here, but not as a whole, right? Not as a lifestyle. In the Asian countries, they are raised to take care of their parents when their parents become elderly. And what has happened is these kids, because of the expectation of them to take care of their parents or whatever, and their grandparents, they go to school, they work hard. Some of them work themselves to death, literally. I'm not kidding, okay? because it's a shame-based culture. If they don't make it, then they've dishonored the family and they feel like they can't go home or they won't be welcomed at home because they failed, right? So they have to go to school. They have to secure a good job so that they can make their family proud and take care of their parents and their grandparents and all that. Well, China has just torn their draws with a lot of countries now. They people are sick of China stealing their patents, stealing their rights to products and all this kind of stuff, manufacturing falsehood, and a lot of the countries had pulled out. I think Apple pulled out, went to India, is I think. A lot of major corporations pulled out. Financial institutions pulled out. That economy over there is absolutely crashing. I mean, it is horrible what is happening there. They have malls everywhere that are like ghost cities. They actually have ghost cities where real estate projects have fallen through because the crime and the fraud is so rampant till they'll start building buildings and then they just abandon the project because they've got these people that have paid for their apartments up front, right? Being told, oh, you'll be able to move in a year. And then overnight, the company disappears. The people have already paid. The building is half built, or the building is fully built, the structure, but there's no plumbing, there's no heat. There's nothing. It's a shell. Doesn't have windows. And yet these people have put their money in there and it's gone. They have nowhere to live. They're on the streets. They are sleeping on the streets. Some of them have moved into their apartments where there ain't no elevators because there's no electricity. I'm telling you, it's bad. And when they had these financial companies that just fell under and the owners disappeared, the people were left with nothing except a lot of shame and not knowing how they're going to support their families. And listen, we have laws against stuff like that. They ain't got no laws over there. You know why? Because the party that's in charge over there knows this stuff is going on and they will lie and say it ain't happening. Now, tell that to the person who's sleeping on the street that can't move into their apartment because the building ain't finished. Right? Tell them they're lying. Well, if they speak up and say that's a lie, they disappear. They go to a mental institution because they will tell the public that that person has mental problems. They're insane. You can't believe anything that they say. I'm telling you. So it's a very oppressive place where ain't no such thing as freedom of speech. Not there. There ain't no freedom of speech. Okay. And if you're thinking about going to Europe, which I can probably never go to again, because I exercise my right to freedom of speech here, I exercise it here. If you think they don't know what I've been saying, you're wrong. I already know I can't go back there because they've already said, you step foot on this soil, we're going to arrest you. Yeah. So there you go. So anyway, not me personally, but anyone like me whose account they will pull up soon as I hit Heathrow and look and see what I've been talking about. And then they'll decide to detain me and keep me. And then I have to hope that somebody at the office that should be helping people get out of there are not loosey-goosey and liberal, because they'll just let me rot in a foreign prison. Okay. Anyway, y'all have any questions? Anybody mad at me? I don't care, but be nice to know. And if you are, just tell me why you mad at me. Ah, Lordy, let's see. Worked friend that was talking, actually being trying to leave America. Oh man. I'm telling you, listen, you don't know how good you have it here until you go somewhere else and see how they treating their own people. I'm telling you. Here, the pain that we're going through is because we have been mistreated as citizens, and the current administration is trying to set things right. It will hurt. It has hurt a lot of people, but they would not be in this position now if the fraud and waste and abuse had not been there for so many years without people knowing that they were working for a criminal enterprise. That's what is happening. Now, so let me say for the last thing I want to say. This is not a good place, a pleasant place to be. And I'm not making light of anybody's struggle. I'm not. Um, but this channel, as it is right now, exists to try to help people to get through this as best they can right now. This is why I spent so much time on this channel and my other channel, which I haven't posted to in a long time, but there's a lot of videos over there talking about preparing. Do you know there are some places right now that don't even have eggs? Some supermarkets in some parts of our nation have no eggs. Now, why is that? Well, because they killed off a lot of hens. Remember that? You remember that? You remember when they were wanting you to eat bugs and not beef? Well, that march is still on. They're still doing that. Okay. Still, you ain't stopped eating beef? Okay, you're guilty. They don't want you to eat beef. I'm telling you, now they going to keep eating it. But if you eating it, that's less for them, right? So they don't want you to eat it because they want to eat it. It ain't because they think cows are bad. It's not because they want to save the planet. If they wanted to save the planet, why are they tearing down whole forests and putting up solar panels when you need the trees to help clean the air? If you want to save the planet, seriously, folks, just do some critical thinking. Think about where you are now. Think about what they are doing, what they're saying. Watch what they say, and then watch what they do with what they say, right? Do they match? Probably not. Probably not. Because everything that they say, they will put it to you in a way that it sounds like it's for your good, it's for your safety, um, it's for the good of mankind and all this, right? That's how they're going to put it to you. So, what a world. What a world. That's all I can say. Um, I'll make sure I said everything. If you are, listen, just so in case you did not know, I am a certified life coach. So if there's something that you want to talk to me about in private, I'd be happy to do that with you. You have to contact me um, on the AOL email, which is in the description box below the video. If you send me an email, I will make arrangements to speak with you privately. And, maybe you can lay out for me what challenge you have right now. And I can see if I have some suggestions for you, something that can help you get over the hump, right? If not, if you're fine, then you're fine. That's great. But I'm here to help people. I'm not here to just blah, blah, blah. I'm here to try to help people. This is why I spend so much time and so many videos talking to you guys about watch your finances, talking to you guys about get what you can get while you can afford to get it. This is why I was telling you guys, pick up, if you go to the store and you're going to get a can of green beans, get 2 cans. Put one on the shelf, one in your kitchen, one on the shelf somewhere in storage. Every time you shop, get one more extra thing, right? Why? Look at the price of things now, right? When you have to choose between where you're going to live and if you're going to eat, there's a problem. There's a problem. This is not an American problem. This is a worldwide economic catastrophe that we are living through right now. If you were a person that put away things, whether it was food or medicine or whatever it was, you are ahead of the game. You're at least one step ahead of disaster, right? Just keep in mind, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Okay, just keep in mind, If it's locked away in somebody else's thing, yeah, it ain't yours, it's theirs as long as they have control over it. I'm just going to put that like that. So go back through your finances, go back through your pantry, look and see what you have, look and see what you need. I guarantee you, whatever it is that you need now that you don't have, if you get it now, you won't be paying double for it later. Okay. I'm just saying, just you got to think ahead. You got to think ahead. We don't know how long we're going to be in this tailspin, right? Before we come out of this. But you have to live through it in the meantime. So, in the meantime, do what you need to do to take care of yourself and your family so that you're not in the street. Now, there are people who have been forced to move into their cars, or into vans or into RVs because they lost their homes. There are others who chose to do that a long time ago because they saw the handwriting on the wall and it was like, you know what? I don't need sticks and bricks. I can go live in an RV. It's cheaper. When I get sick of my neighbors, I can just pick up my whole house and go live somewhere else, whether it's in a van or whatever. There are people that are homeless right now because they didn't think ahead. There are also people that are homeless right now because somebody else made bad decisions that affected their life and put them in the gutter. Um, Whatever your situation is, I'm willing to talk to you if you're willing to take the time to write me. So, anyway, having said all that, I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight and hanging out with me. I try to stay on here an hour. I'm a little bit past that, but you'll forgive me, I'm sure. Anyway, and I love you guys. And thank you for those of you that have been hanging out with me for like forevermore when this was just a hair channel and now it's turned into all kinds of crazy stuff. I appreciate you being here. You could be anywhere else. And again, make sure if you want me to text you before I'm getting ready to do a live stream, I will do that, but you have to write me at enoughgrace@aol.com. And like I said, it's in the description box. I will write you back. All right. So bless you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. I will see you the next time I come on. Be careful, stay calm, stay prayerful, stay safe, stay out of trouble. And I'll see you the next time I come on. Take care. God bless you. Bye bye.